welcome to our first show of this semester. I am so glad you tuned in. My name is Hannah Devani.
And I'm Emily Dina Terrace.
And this is The World at Temple. Stay tuned because today we have an exciting show where we bring the world to you. Today we're going to cover all things summer related.
You're going to hear from 3 different Temple students who all spent time in France, but were there for many different reasons. Stay tuned because we have a jam-packed show for you today. I am joined here with Willa, who is a freshman, undeclared media and communication major with a French minor. Willa had the unique experience of teaching English at an elementary school in Senlis for a full year. Thanks for talking with me today, Willa.
Hi, Emily. It's nice to be here.
So, Willa, this is an international experience we haven't heard about before. Before we get started, can you tell our audience how you came into this role and why you decided to spend a year doing this?
Sure. Well, spending time abroad has always been something I knew I wanted to do. Both of my parents spent multiple years abroad, and I kind of grew up listening to their stories about it. So when I was presented with this program in my senior year of high school, I knew I wanted to do it.
That's amazing. So did a teacher reach out to you because they knew that you've always wanted to do this, or was this kind of like a last-minute decision?
It's kind of a last-minute decision, actually. It was January of my senior year that I chose.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So were you thinking about going to college?
Yeah.
Instead of doing the program at first?
I was at first, and then I kind of just had an epiphany and was like, you know what, I don't really want to take the same path, so.
Good. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Be you, girl. So, for most of the people we talked to, they experienced some culture shock studying abroad, but you were actually working in France. So, what was that transition like for you, and were there other Americans doing the same thing as you?
So I was in France with a program called Ondego Abroad. There were about 20 Americans and also Canadians, and we were spread across France, like the whole country. I was the only American in my town, but I was lucky enough to have a really close friend who was just 30 minutes away. But yeah, the transition was definitely very difficult. I mean, I went from being like a high school student to responsible for multiple classes of French children and teaching them English. So it was definitely difficult, but it got easier as time went on.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So, you told us how you stayed with a few different host families. Can you describe that living arrangement to us?
Yeah, so I stayed with 4 host families, and I switched every 3 months I was there. Each family had at least 2 kids. One of them had 5. One of them actually had a baby when I got there, which was crazy because I'm an only child. So it was really cool for me to kind of have that experience with like kind of fake siblings, but still be able to see what that was like. It was amazing. And they were all, oh my gosh, I'm still in contact with them. I loved them all so much, yeah.
So did you ever have to watch the kids, or were they any of the kids that you had to teach, or no? Was there never that
Yeah,
crossover?
so all of my host siblings went to the school I taught at. But sometimes I had to take care of them, but most of my host families were really careful about because that's not what I was there for.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So my next question for you, Willa, is how was it like working with the kids?
It was really fun. I will say, because when I got to France, my language was not good at all. I could kind of barely get by. Mm-hmm. So when I started working at the school, my classroom management, the children did not really take me seriously because I had a very American accent with my French. But again, as the year went on and my language progressed, it got a lot easier, and it was really hard to say goodbye to them at the end of the year. So, yeah.
So I know you said you were teaching practically every day, but did you ever get the chance to do anything outside of Senlis?
Yeah, absolutely. So in France, I had every weekend off, and they also have elementary schools in France have every Wednesday off. So I had time. I could do day trips in Paris and just adventure around the region, but they also have more than 8 weeks of vacation in one school year. So I traveled a lot. I traveled a lot of places, but my favorite was probably Morocco. I got to see Morocco with my dad, and that was really cool.
That's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
so happy you got to do that. Were there ever instances where you found it hard being gone from home for that long of a stay?
Definitely. Being away from home for an entire year, especially at 18, it was really difficult at times, but I'm lucky enough to have a really great support system, both at home, and I was able to grow a beautiful community of people in Senlis as well.
Did your family ever come up to visit you when you were there?
Yeah, actually, both my parents, and I also had a lot of friends. I was so lucky, and because it was easy, it was kind of a reason to visit Paris because I was 30 minutes away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, can you walk us through a typical day in the life for you as an English teacher there?
Sure. So I worked a 9 to 5. I walked to school. I walked everywhere. I walked to school to get there by 9, and then I would rotate classes, not English classes, just kind of observing and helping classes in the morning. And then I had very long lunch breaks, like an hour or an hour and a half, where I would just kind of go into town and sit and read and have lunch. And then afterwards, I would have my English classes, and it switched every day, so it depended on the day. And then I worked until 5, and then I would go home, kind of hang out with my host family. In France, they have this thing called goûter, it's like afternoon snack, but it's very sweet. It's like the most basic one is like a baguette, and you put like chocolate in it. Anyway, my like host siblings would always have like really crazy stuff for goûter. And then we'd all have dinner together always, and then to bed, pretty much.
Wow,
Yeah.
So you stay busy.
Yeah.
So you shared with us that you are undecided in the media and communication program, but after this experience, could you see yourself working in education?
No. I really loved my experience teaching, but it's not something that I want to pursue a career in. I think I have a lot of respect for teachers, but it's a lot of energy that is put into it, especially at an elementary school level. You're kind of on all the time, and it can be pretty tiring. So I really respect it, but not for me.
Not for you. That's okay. So for anyone listening who is interested in doing something similar to what you did, what advice would you give them to take the next steps and actually do this?
I would say do it, take the chance. There are tons of organizations and resources out there. Just literally look up stuff, especially for gap years. I cannot share how much my program was good, so if anyone's interested in going to France, Ondego Abroad is a really great way to do it. But yeah, just do it. And especially when you're in a different culture, just like remember to stay open to cultural differences, and especially if there's like a language barrier, just know that you're going to make mistakes, but if you really want to learn it, you have to speak it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Why not?
Just do it. Just do it.
Now that you're here at Temple after your experience abroad, how do you think that has given you perspective here?
I think I grew a lot as a person, absolutely. I was kind of forced to. I didn't really have a choice, which was great. And I was more independent, and I feel more independent now, and I feel very well equipped for this new college experience so far. It's been really good so far.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you had an incredible gap year, Willa, and on behalf of all of us here at The World at Temple, welcome to Temple University.
Thank you so much.
I am so glad we got to hear from all of these Temple students about their incredible experiences in France.
It's great to see all the different types of things people can do abroad. I know we have talked with students who have studied abroad before, but these three students seem to have been able to make some great memories this summer and have some unique experiences.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for tuning in to our very first episode of the year. And remember, here at The World at Temple, we bring the world to you. I'm Hannah Devani.
And I'm Emily Dina Terrace. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.